Hello everyone. Let's look at querying a database directly with natural language. I'm going to be using a database example with 4 million records in total, and we're going to use natural language, so just how a human would ask the question, to query the database. Now, the database I've already installed locally, so I've got it here, and let me just make the font a bit bigger. I've installed it. The instructions are on the MySQL website. You need to import their data, their schema. So once that's installed, you can then begin to experiment with LangChain. And we're going to use, because it's more straightforward to set up, we're actually going to use ChatGPT. And let's just go over what I've got here, which is, I'll come on to that later. So this is my usage recently, and I've been experimenting with this today. And you might think, well, if you've got 4 million records, is that not costing you lots of money with your searches? Um, Today I've done a lot of testing, and it's used me 2 cents, $0.02. The reason being, in ChatGPT uses the schema, so you're sending the schema to ChatGPT, but you're not actually sending the data. Uh, there is an article here which I'll get to at the end, which discusses um, selecting the relevant tables, and there's part of LangChain which can help you do that. But for now, let's actually just demo the code, and I'll show you what it does. So um, I'm using UV package manager. That's why I've got uv.lock and pyproject.toml. I'll just show you pyproject.toml. So those are our imports. That's like a pip requirements.txt if you've not used UV yet. I'd recommend it. But it really sort of makes life easier for you. Um, the one extra thing you have to do is you get this additional directory structure, which, yeah, you just have to keep going down. Right, so I've got main. Let's quickly look at main. Lots of imports. So we're using SQLAlchemy, login OS, and then these LangChain ones. So the prompt template, string output parser, that's what tidies up our response to make it a bit more human friendly to read. That's where we're specifying our model. We're using the query chain, and then obviously we're using the SQL database utilities. I've got my environment variable stored in the .env file, which I will read. And obviously that then means I'm not exposing my API key anywhere. The database settings there. So I've called my database employees as per the MySQL example. It's running on localhost. It's running locally on my laptop, but you could put an IP address in there if you were running it remotely. Password and username, I've just called it app user. So this is the engine side of things. I've not used SQLAlchemy very much at all really, but it seems to do the job. So without further ado, let's just run the code, and then we'll review it. Okay, and what have I done? Pass toml. I've done something in toml. Oh, I had an error which was showing up in VS Code when I opened something. I was thinking about showing the code in VS Code, but that backfired, didn't it? Right. So uv run main.py. So who is the third longest serving employee? Well, what is the name? So we're going off and we're getting ChatGPT to make us a query, and it's selecting the employee's first name, employee last name from employees. It's ordering by hiring date ascending. It does limit 2 and then it fetches the next one. So you're actually getting the third That's slightly counterintuitive. So the name of the third longest serving employee is Sharish Ossenbruggen. And you can check that if you can run this, if you log into MySQL, you can actually run this query and you'll get the same result, and you can verify that it's giving you the right answer. So let's go back in and look at the code and just inspect it a bit more. So we got down to here, Initialize LangChain, GPT-3. You can choose whatever model you want. It can either be chat. You just need to use a different flavor when you get down to here. So up at the top, rather than specifying chat OpenAI, you would choose a different vendor, a different brand of LLM. Right, so then we've got generate the query. So the query is basically taking the question, and then it does generate query.invoke based on the question that you pass in. So this is a function, you pass it in the question, your question, and then it matches your question to the key of question there, and it returns the query. Once you've got the query, you can then execute the query, and you're using the session, which is the SQLAlchemy thing, which is just maintaining the session to the MySQL database. It's executing the query, and then it's returning, it's doing fetching all of the rows for your result. So if you had multiple answers, you'd be getting them all here. So then we want to rephrase the result. So this is what you might not see on some of the basic tutorials. So what we're doing here is we're actually using prompt template, from template. And we're saying, given the following user question, corresponding SQL query and SQL result, answer the question. So we pass the question, query, result, and then we send the answer prompt. We pipe it to the model, and then we do the output pass. So this is the thing which tidies it up and makes it more human readable. And then in main, this is where we actually ask a question. So the question, which gets passed to the function we just looked at, what is the name of the third longest serving employee? And obviously you can make a lot more complicated question than that. But I just thought, given that it's very often perceived that you're going to use lots of tokens if you have a very large database, that's not true, because 4 million, was it 4 million? Forget. Yeah, 4 million. 4 million employees in the database, 160 megabytes, and you're barely using any. So I was on 0.02 cents, and I suspect I'll still be on either 0.02 or, yeah, still on 0.02. I know it takes a few minutes to refresh, so won't count your chickens. But there's the article about this on redandgreen.co.uk. This is my website. A lot of technical articles, quite a few Rust ones nowadays. If anybody's interested, I know a lot of Python people don't like Rust, so I won't labour that. But I've just put in the screenshot of the schema. So effectively, that's what ChatGPT is using to decide the logic to actually create the query. So the next step will probably be to query it with something which requires it to use multiple tables. Just put it through its paces. And that's the code, that's the imports, that's setting up login. I've not put the full code in here. If anybody wants it, I can provide it. It's kind of work in progress still. So I've just highlighted the generate query because I think that's kind of the interesting thing. That's the bit that actually creates the query based on your question, which is how you would write it as a human being. So that's the key steps. You load the environment variables, do the login setup if you want to log in, put in your API key, which you can, if you want to use OpenAI, then just come in here and you have to register. Get your API key. Create the SQLAlchemy engine and session, initialize LangChain database, which is what handles that. So then you basically initialize your query chain. It's all here. If you want the code, just drop me a message in the comments. So that's just a screenshot of what we just saw basically. Rephrased answer. So I think the rephrased answer is quite nice, really. It's again, just once you get this article here was quite a big help to me actually. Natural language to SQL. I don't remember what database he was using here. I think he was using MySQL, but there was not much about setting up, and he didn't use the employees database. I think classic models. There's no mention of the actual data that he used, which is fine, but yeah, you might want to just use the employee sample database, which you get from MySQL, which is, you'll see some Oracle messages when you start looking at it. So there's the info on it. Employee sample database. Once you downloaded it, you just have to do, I think it's restore.sql. Again, I won't go into that here because everybody's going to be using different database. My next thoughts are probably to try a different database, possibly Postgres, and then also move on to maybe SerialDB or something like that. Just one other thing to look for is the mention of you got mention of memory there. That's probably another thing to move on to. But yeah, the create extraction chain. Going to look at that in due course. But LangChain is very fast changing. So if this was written, I think this was written earlier in the year. Yeah, March. So no doubt LangChain's changed a bit since then. So that's my next job, is to actually go and investigate whether this still works. If it doesn't work, then I need to find out how to achieve the same result with whatever the most up-to-date LangChain syntax is. So thanks for watching. If you've got any ideas, suggestions, comments, improvements, or anything you don't like, just let me know. Failing that, I'll probably be back soon with another video, but the video will probably be looking at adding on the chat memory and what we just saw about how to use the extraction chain. So thanks for watching. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.